Well, hi everybody. Welcome to Sty Times. Hey, it's good to see y'all. Join Vader Gamer. Only one in the chat right now. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully that'll change. We'll get some folks out there carrying conversations. The hey, it's a good day to get together. It's a good day to get together. You know, it's the end of the world. This evening's topic. It's the end of the world. Uh, I know that I'll probably get a lot of people that say, "Oh yeah, I liked the topic. It was great," and then I'll get some that say, "Oh, Sty, yeah, you're so wrong, Sty. You're just, that just ain't right." All right, this is just my take, my perspective. Hey, thanks, Phil. I saw that you shared it out. Thank you very much. Anybody, hey, this is time to do it. Feel free, share it on out. Get your friends on over here to hear this topic. Hey, they should all show up over here. Yeah, it's the end of the world. I see some people are going to get upset with me because I tend to laugh about it, about the end of the world. Um, because you hear it all the time. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. It's the end of the world. Yeah. So that seems to be the answer to almost everything nowadays. It's the end of the world. It's good to see you, James. The All right, most of you know, I'm 64 years old, and I'll tell you what, for the last 50 of those 64 years, it was going to oh, I gotta Phil says I expect all 3,500 of my subscribers to be here anytime now. That's good though. It means you're optimistic, man. That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, they should all show up. This could be the last one, the last Sty Times ever, because it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. But in the last 50 of my 64 years, it's was supposed to be the end of the world every every 2 to 5 years throughout that 50 years. Something's coming. It's the end of the world. I heard it so many times. I mean, I grew up in the Cold War era. Oh, we heard it all the time when I was a kid. It's the end of the world. They're going to drop all their nukes on us. It's the end of the world. You know, never happened, but it was the end of the world. Hey, look at there. Look at there. Well, thank you, Chrysler Imperial. Thank you. Thank you. All goes to supporting the channel. That is awesome. Thank you. Well, I remember when I was in grade school and we were hounded constantly about um, the end is coming. The Russians are going to launch their nukes on us, and we're all going to run for cover. And we all, there were always people in town that had bomb shelters, and they're going to devastate the whole country. But they don't. The poor dumb Russians, they don't realize that all that radiation is going to blow over the Atlantic and get them anyway. So it's the end of the world. So they had us believing for years it's going to happen any day. So you're looking up at the sky all day long, waiting to see those missiles coming. It's the end of the world. So they should be here anytime. But I look back at that and I think, what a waste of time living with that in our minds all the time. It's the end of the world. Well, and then over the years, in the 70s, you heard about it quite often. This weird group. They all committed suicide on a specific day because it was the end of the world. They were going to take themselves out before the whole world ended, because it's the end of the world. Well, them people are gone now, and if wherever they went, they're looking at us now, they're going, oops, because it wasn't the end of the world. Hey, Board Sort, good to see ya. And, you know, we had several of those kind of incidents through the 70s. And then you go into the 80s, and conspiracy theories were just abounded. I mean, they just, oh man, oh man, oh man. The government is going to take us all over. We're all going to have to run for the hills, and we got to start prepping now. Now, I tell you what, in the 80s, prepping really went through the roof. It was a big deal. It was a big deal because government was going to attack us, and then we'll attack the government, and then they'll nuke us, and this will happen, that'll happen. It's the end of the world. Are you prepared? It's the end of the world. Thank you, Saucy Shane, for sharing out the stream. Andrew, good to see you. So in the 80s, I got involved with the prepping side of things. And I partnered up with a couple other families, and we put foodstuffs together. We made sure that we had secure shelter. We made sure that we had all of our foodstuffs. We had firearms and ammo and everything. I mean, we had it all. And we had it figured out that of 3 families, and I think between the 3 families, we had 9 children, that we had enough put away that we could get by for 5 years just on the foodstuffs that we had put away. Now, hey, Zombie Slayer, good to see you. So we put all of these foodstuffs away, and we made certain that we didn't prep with anything that had less than a 20-year shelf life. And the majority of the things we had 25-year shelf life. Well, I found out late last summer, early fall, I kind of broke away from those other folks, and I told them, my investment in all that food stuff, keep it. I'm not going to try to move that stuff. That's a lot of food, I'm telling you. A lot of food. Well, I found out that on the property, they owned what we had purchased 80 acres. And like I said, I backed out of the whole relationship, and they still have the 80 acres. Well, they went out and hey, John R. Timmers, the who is experience with survival, especially first aid. Yeah, John, I'm going to get down that road. Yeah. Hey, Will the Rocker, good to see you. The thing is I find out late summer, early fall, they dug a hole out in the middle of that 80 acres, great big ass hole. There was, for those 3 large families, there was close to 10,000 pounds of food there. 5 ton of food. It all went in that hole and got backfilled, buried. It's gone. They buried it. It's gone. Why? Because we put all those foodstuffs up 35 years ago. It had a 25-year shelf life. They checked that foods. They sampled those food items, 60% of what was in our facility had gone bad. You would not want to be consuming it. Hey, Joan, good to see you. And so 60% of it had gone bad. The other 40%, they said it didn't take much to figure it out, that it was close to going bad. It would be going bad quite soon. They had already exceeded 10 years of its shelf life. But you think about that, 35 years ago, we were convinced it's the end of the world. We got to get all this stuff put together. We got to get this and be prepared for our families for the next 5 years. And we're all set. Boy, I tell you what, when we finally had the last of those foodstuffs stored in that facility, we were thrilled, man. Like a big weight went off our shoulders. We're going to make it when the world ends. The mentality of that is a lot of foolishness, and I'm going to get into that. Hi, B lady. The the going out with me at camp, yeah. Well, that's it. Is if the world comes to an end, I hope it does it in the evening while I'm out at camp enjoying a beautiful sunset, and it comes quick. Yeah, let's just get it over with. It's the end of the world. Exploring Ginger, awesome. Great to see you. Great to see all of you folks. We got a good crowd in here this evening for the Sty Times show. 19 people. That's awesome. I love it. So here we went, and we invested thousands and thousands of dollars in enough food to have 3 families survive for 5 years off of that food stuff. We built an awesome shelter, underground shelter, that would have housed the 3 families. Well, they buried all the food because it went bad. The underground facility that we had built, which was a very nice facility, it would have been cramped, and I know we would have definitely been on each other's nerves if we had to live in it long term. But you would have survived in it. It's now a root cellar. It's being used as a root cellar. They said you couldn't get in there you might put 3 or 4 people in there, and they'll survive off of all the canned goods and everything else they got in there. Well, we did it all because it was the end of the world. We were convinced that this whole world's going to come crashing down. It's going to be the end of the world. Well, when I departed from those friends of mine, I got to thinking about the end of the world. And there's always a reason why there's going to be an end of the world. There's always a new one. There's always a fresh one. All of a sudden, we got comets that are going to hit us, and it's going to destroy our planet. It's going to be either it's going to be an extinction event where everything dies on the planet, or it's just going to bust our planet apart. It's the end of the world. Now that would be, wouldn't it? That would be. Now they haven't proven that one's going to hit us. They're saying, but it's a good possibility. Well, it's a good possibility that if thank you, B lady, for sharing out the video. It's a good possibility that when I cross the street next time I'm down on the street, that I could get run over by a bus. Well, if I get run over by a bus, guess what? It's the end of the world. Yeah, it's the end of my world, and that's the whole thing. Is I started realizing that the whole "it's the end of the world" thing really isn't about everybody else. It's about you and those people close to you. That's what it's all about. Is will your world come to an end? Because this old world's been hit by meteors, comets, major volcanoes. Heck, Yellowstone had blown up at one time and basically put the whole planet in darkness for almost a year. They found ash from Yellowstone in Europe, for crying out loud. But it wasn't the end of the world. It was if you were a primitive individual camping on Yellowstone Lake. Yeah. That person would say, "Oh, it's the end of the world." Yeah. But it wasn't the end of the world. The world recovered. Hey, Samantha Lee, it is so sweet to see you, girl. But I'll tell you what, 2012, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. 2012 is upon us. It's 2012. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to back it up. The year 2000, Y2K. Let's go back there first. Hey, Spicy. Oh, oh, that is that's too kind of you, brother. That's too kind of you. That that yep. Like I always say, goes right back into channel costs. Yeah, yeah. Love you. There, Spicy. But so in 2000, I was an executive for a tribal administration. Our administration was everything was electronic. We had a huge accounting division. I had 21 accountants working for me. And every one of those are working on desktop computers that are all linked into our file servers and blah, blah, blah. The whole, that tribe fully depended upon technology. And we were thrilled. This is so much easier than keeping books manually, right? Everybody was just happy. Then Y2K comes along. Oh, at 12:01 a.m. on the January 1st of 2020 or 2000, everything's going to shut down. It's all going to collapse. The grid is shut down. We're going to lose electricity. We're going to lose everything. You won't be able to buy gas because those pumps are all controlled electronically. Everything electronic is crashing. No, actually, the Mayans estimated 2012 as the end of the world. Actually, that's the Mayans predicted 2012. Y2K was the electronics didn't know what to do when it would turn into a new century. It would go from the 1900s to 2000. They felt that all computer systems would crash because they weren't designed to go beyond 1999. Well, they were totally mistaken. It was a joke. It was a joke. They everybody went nuts. Gasoline here in my town went up to $8.50 a gallon, and they actually went after the one gas station that jacked it up to that $8.50 a gallon. They went after them for price gouging. That gas station no longer exists. And I always said, I don't get it. They know something we don't, because if they're selling gas for $8.50 a gallon and they got big smiles on their faces and they're putting signs up, we're out of gas. They sold all their gas, and all the gas they were selling for $8.50 a gallon, they paid $1.50 a gallon for it just a few days before this whole scare started. And they're happy about it. They're happy that because they're making a gold mine off of everybody's fears that it's the end of the world, because we're going to get thrown into the Stone Age. We'll all turn into cannibals, and before you know it, mankind is gone. It's the end of the world. Never happened. Never happened. Then 2012, the Mayan calendar came to an end. And I'll tell you what, that was the biggest dang joke I ever seen. The very first time I heard about 2012, the world's coming to an end. The Mayans predicted it ages ago, and their calendar ends in 2021. Well, if that holds true, I'm 64. The world should have ended 64 times. And you're wondering, what the hell does he mean by that? Well, the thing is every single year of those 64 years, you had to buy a new calendar because the last one ended. The Mayans just didn't publish a new calendar is all. They figured their dates out to a point and it ended. That's where they ended. They didn't publish a new one. So that would be just like my favorite calendar company that I get my calendar from decided we're not going to do calendars anymore. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. It's the end of the world, because that publishing company said that that's the last day that'll be on a calendar right there. So it's the end of the world. Yeah, B Lady's asking, so that stored food was wasted? Yes, yes. And B Lady says the Mayans probably ran out of paper. We're going to get into that after the halftime about how the end of the world can truly feel like the end of the world. I mean, like something big's going on, and really there isn't, So, but we're going to get into that. Hey, William Simpson, it's great to see you. Thanks for stopping into Sty Times. But I got to the point where, and we're going to talk after halftime. We're going to be talking a lot about prepping again. We're going to go back onto the prepping side of things, and being prepared if it's the end of the world. Now, one of my favorite, see, I love the term, it's the end of the world. If you've ever watched Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, and there's this old guy sitting in their local pub cafe, and they're talking about the birds and how if the birds were to turn on us, we wouldn't have a chance. And he's sitting down at the end of the bar, and he quoted something out of the Bible, and he goes, and someone called him an old fool, and he goes, oh, well, it's the end of the world. I mean, and that's it, and that's kind of my attitude is, if people want to spend their time and their day worrying about things coming to an end, I'll respond with, yeah, okay, it's the end of the world. I'm good with it. It's the end of the world. Yeah. But 2012, back to 2012, the whole world was supposed to break up, and everything was going to go to hell. Everybody's going to die. The whole world's going to get wiped out, and on and on and on and on and on. that every natural disaster you could imagine is going to happen and everything. I'll never forget 2012. Every single storm, it didn't matter how bad it was or how not so bad it was, but every single storm, thunderstorms, tornadoes, even if they're just little ones, it hardly did any damage. Hurricanes that never even made landfall, but every one of them, every little shake of the ground, it's the end of the world. See, 2012 is coming true. It's there. Reporting on it. I mean, reporters were even going down that road saying, well, we don't know why this happened. Well, it's been happening for ever. Mike's early. He'll be back. Yeah. He likes to come in for the last 5 minutes, not the 5 minutes before break. Yeah. But I kid you not, I'll never forget how bad it was in 2012 with the mass hysteria of people. They just thought for sure it was going to be the end of the world. There were people that sold their homes, moved into a camper, and figured, well, we're going to spend our money and just enjoy the last few months we have. There were people that invested in very expensive shelters. And I mean, people were excessively prepping and getting way out of control for something that never happened. And I sat back saying to everybody, I'm prepared. I'm prepared. We're going to talk about that after the halftime. I am totally prepared. I'm proud of myself. I'm ready for any disaster. We're going to talk about all the different types of ends of the world that a lot of times we don't even realize it, but we're coping all the time with a new end of the world scenario. There's so many. And you can help yourself make up some more. What the heck? Why not? What's a dozen end of the worlds without adding a new one once in a while, right? There's got to be a new end of the world. Hey, Donald Morris, great to see you. Well, we're coming up on your scrap friends for Minecrafters. Yeah. E-Waste has been having. Oh yeah, he's got to go get a new computer because his computer crashed. Hey, B Lady, right after the halftime, we'll talk about that. What the latest end of the world hype may be, We do have one actively right now. And we're going to talk about that after the halftime too. So at halftime, I share out all of my absolutely wonderful, beautiful channel supporters that support by becoming members. And it only takes about 1 minute. So please, folks, I can see how many are here. Don't run off. This only takes a minute and we'll be right back. And we'll be, we're not going to go anywhere. And it's not the end of the world till later. You make it through halftime. We'll still be here. I promise. So here you go. It only takes 1 minute. These are great people. Check these channels out. I see your comments out there. Thanks. I'm glad that you like the music for that little clip of all my channel members. The oh yeah, Board Sort likes the bass. Streaming through the big speakers tonight sounds great. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing too, is I am so used to using laptop, desktop, using basically the computer speakers. And then I decided, no, I'm going to run it high quality to my 65-inch TV and the big speakers. Well, then I had to quit using them when I live stream because I got echo because it comes on strong. Well, then I got some good earbuds, and then I realized how good the music is. And then my theme song for my Around the Campfire and Sty Story Sundays that was written by Samantha Lee and performed by her is so much more awesome when you've got good sound. If you've got good set of earbuds or you've got some good speakers, oh, it's so good. Yeah, it's fun. I love it. Yeah. So let's get back on this issue of It's the End of the World. The Bee Lady had asked, what I thought the most, today, what's kind of end hype is that might there be this time? Well, it's already begun. It's already begun. Now, I don't want anybody jumping all over me and saying, oh, you're a climate change, global warming denier. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that from nobody. I'm not denying nothing. The only thing I'm denying is it's the end of the world. Get real. Get real. Now, Mr. Gore gets out there nationally tooting his horn, saying, "Oh yeah, if we don't do something within 10 years, it's irreversible and we're all gonna die." That man's making millions of dollars off of scaring the hell out of the world about global climate change. Now, if that man did everything to bring attention to global climate change and wasn't cashing in on it, I might listen to him. He's just like that gas station owner in 2000 at Y2K that was charging $8.50 a gallon. He's just like that guy. He's made out of the same material. He's playing on the fears of mankind. Mankind wants to go on. Mankind just, it's typically human nature. I don't want to die. But guess what? For each individual in this world, there is an end of the world, and that's the day you pass away. We don't live like this forever. Yeah, Gort, he's hot and wild now. Yeah, he disappeared for the longest time, and it's because people got tired of this whole issue of, in America, we've got to clean everything up. We got to cut down emissions. We got to pay in a bunch of tax dollars to make us the cleanest country in the world. And Gore helped set up all these wonderful green credits that if you're a country that's clean, you get all these green credits, right? You don't have to pay in to the cleanup of the world. as much because you got all these green credits. Oh, but he also set it up so he could broker those green credits to countries that don't want to clean up, like India and China, and they could purchase those green credits from other countries that are doing something about it, right? So they don't have to clean up. They can be as dirty as they want, but they get offset. They don't get penalized for it because they buy our green credits. It's all BS. It's all BS. And Gore getting on there and saying it's the end of the world. If we don't do this, and this, it's the end of the world. We've got to do things now to stop this climate change. Well, I tell you what, and I saw a comment out there about there was a 5 foot or 5 mile thick glacier where my house is right now. And that's true. I don't understand for the life of me why people are freaking out about climate change. Oh, for crying out loud. We've already been down that road. We know about it. We know, man, oh man, where I'm at. I mean, for crying out loud, Lake Superior, the deepest, largest freshwater lake here on the continent, gouged out by a glacier. That was no easy task. I was in the same boat where I'm living. Oh, yeah, that glacier was a good 5 miles thick. There's a spot down here we call the Pinocchio Mountains. Those mountains used to be over 6,000 feet. Now they're just a little over 2,000 feet. The glacier wiped 4,000 feet off the top of that mountain. It's the end of the world. If we don't change things, that's going to come back and get us. I'll tell you what, if it's going to come back and get us, it's going to come back to get us whether I'm driving a fuel economy vehicle or not. All the science around this has been and always will be manipulated. It's all in presentation. It's like doing a survey. People say, oh, well, didn't you see the polls said? I want to see the question, the exact question that was asked in the poll, and what were the answers offered that you could pick from. I went to college. We learned it all in stats. We learned how, when you write a survey, you write it to get the answer you want. Very few people write a true honest survey. A true honest survey gives a question and you give any answer you want. You don't get to pick. It's not a yes and no. It's not a here's 5 different choices. It's open. You just give your answer uncorrupted. But that's not what we get because there's money to be made. There's money to be made in implying to mankind that it's our fault and we're all doomed. We're all doomed. It's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. I'm telling you. Another thing mankind loves to do is you got to have somebody to blame, right? So climate change, nobody can say, oh my gosh, we got climate change. Mother Nature, oh, she's she's terrible. Mother Nature, what a hag. No. Instead, we say, it's our fault. It's your fault. You driving that truck instead of a little electric car. It's your fault. We're all going to die because of you. It's the end of the world because you are using firewood to heat your house and you're putting all those emissions out when you should be using clean energy, solar or something like that. We got to blame somebody. It's easy to blame each other. It's got to be your fault that it's the end of the world. That's BS. Come on now. You know, people need to grow up and realize no, you're not going to pick me or a class of people and say, you're the end of the world. You people created this. It's your fault. Who is Al Gore to blame the rest of the world for what he thinks is going to happen to him? I tell you what, if he wants to blame me for something happening to him, get a little closer, Al. Just get a little closer to me. I'll give you something to blame me for. You stand off in the distance and blame me for climate change? Get real. Get real. Grow up. It's the end of the world. If it's the end of the world, well, then for crying out loud, why get up and go to work in the morning? It's the end of the world. Why don't I just go steal everything I want? It's the end of the world. I'll do whatever I want. I'll go crazy. I'll go out there and do whatever I want because it's the end of the world. It's just like these people that get that fake letter in the mail that says, you just won Publishers Clearinghouse. They don't read the fine print. If you buy some magazines from us and your name is picked, this is what you're going to get. Well, no, it said I won. Well, you got to read the whole thing. Yep. They sell us a bill of goods and they say it's the end of the world. And what do? We spend a lot of money. We spend a ton of money preparing for something that's going to be the end of us all. Now, they've been doing that forever. I mean, in modern history, they've been doing it forever. Best way to make money? Scare people. That's what works. That's what works. And what's the best scare out there? It's the end of the world. If you don't buy this, if you don't invest in that, if you don't spend money on that, you ain't going to make it because it's the end of the world. And what do? We run out there and do that. In the 80s, the prepper world went absolutely nuts. Absolutely. I was part of it. I invested in all that foodstuffs, 10,000 pounds of food. I invested over $3,000 initially just for my family, for their 5-year supply. But I did a lot of add-ons to it. So I think in the long run, it was pushing closer to $5,000 I had invested into that. We never had a meal of it. And it went bad and it got buried. It got wasted. We should have been eating that food and then replacing it. Eat it, replace it, eat it, replace it. And then when I died, my boys would have inherited all that food and they should have ate and replaced it, ate and replaced. Now that would make sense, right? But you can't afford to do it. It's not cheap. Not cheap to do that. And you don't want to eat survival food your whole dang life. It ain't no fun. It ain't no fun. The food tastes okay, but it's just okay. It's not Taco Tuesday for crying out loud. It's not pizza on Friday night with a cold beer. So we stock up and nothing happens. But boy, we spent the money. Now I have five acquaintances. One of them invested $750,000 in their survival shelter. 750 grand. They bought an old Nike missile silo over in Minnesota. And they converted that missile silo into a survival shelter. NDT. Hey, thank you. That is cool. Thank you. It's good to see you, NDT. But they got the missile silo dirt cheap. I think they paid 50 grand, and it's got 4 acres and this huge missile silo. Awesome place. But they stuck $700,000 into all the renovations inside of it to make it a bomb secure home. And guess what? They don't live in it. It's there in case someone says, we got to run and hide. It's the end of the world. So they invested $750,000 into something they use. They go and spend vacations at it. They stay there once in a while. They let their friends go hang out there once in a while. And it's all equipped and ready to go in case there's a disaster. I got a feeling that their missile silo is going to be just like all the foodstuffs I bought back in the 80s. Worthless at the end of the day. Now, the end of the world, I said it earlier, we all have our end of the world, and that's the day we pass away. That's the end of the world. It's the end of the world. His famous last words. It's the end of the world. Yeah, famous last words. This planet has been beat up by meteors, comets, natural disasters, volcanoes, earthquakes, just every nasty, nasty thing you could imagine on this planet over tens of thousands of years. And we're still here. And we whine about it's the end of the world. It ain't the end of the world. All of the scenarios, all the different types of ends. I mean, people even go so far as aliens are going to come and they're going to eat us all, you know. They're going to use us for food or something. Or they say, yeah, the sun is going to, we're going to lose our ozone. The sun's going to cook us. We're going to all get, we're all going to end up barbecue. Maybe. But you don't live as if all of these scenarios, all these end of the worlds are going to happen. Because if you got to live with that, oh, that's like I said, go run naked through town with a baseball bat beating up little old ladies. Because it's the end of the world. What are they going to do to me? It's the end of the world. Come on. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. I refuse to live in the end of the world. I'm not gonna. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I had a good Easter. I hope everybody else did too. Yeah. Thanks for asking, NDT, and saying that. Yeah. Well, our lives have so dramatically changed with this virus. I have no idea where this world is coming or going. But that's happened so many times in history. That's a good comment there, B lady, because that has happened so many times in history. Now think back to the Middle Ages. The bubonic plague hit Europe. There were sections of Europe that had mortality rates between 50 and 80%. Well, that would mean 5 out of 10, every other person died of the plague. And in some areas, 8 out of 10 people, only 2 people out of 10 survived the plague. And we're freaking out over COVID? I mean, yeah, it is terrible. It's a shame. Nobody wants to see loss of life, but loss of life is life. It's part of life. What we're going through with COVID today is nothing compared to what Europe went through during the plagues. Now, but yet people act. They act like this is a major plague. It's not a major plague. We have history. We have facts that show that this world went through a lot worse sicknesses than this one. It's not the end of the world. And B-Lady's right. Who knows where this world's going to go to? You know, what's going to happen? What's it? What? You don't know. Is the world coming or going? You just don't know. This plague, as a lot of people like to call it, COVID, it was already before the end of March last year, a year ago, that people attacked all of the stores. I couldn't figure it out. They tell us all, oh, there's this bad COVID thing. You could catch it, and it's killing some people. Gotta be careful. Well, thank you. I am glad you let us know that's out there. And they said it's a upper respiratory virus, and oh yeah, basically you suffocate to death. And so what did everybody do? They ran out and bought every single sheet of toilet paper in the world. Not once did they say that you got the craps from COVID. Not once did they ever say, oh, you're going to get diarrhea so bad, you better stock up on toilet paper. But oh no, everybody ran out, bought every roll of toilet paper. Then they bought all the Kleenex. And when that was gone, they bought all the paper towels and napkins. Now everybody's got closets in their basements full of toilet paper and paper goods. And they're going, well, I'm prepared for this COVID thing. Prepping gone wild again. All scare tactics, The hi, computer check. Now I'm going to wrap the show up with how I'm prepared. I'm totally prepared. Doesn't matter what comes my way. I'm totally prepared. I've got a bug out bag. With the foodstuffs I got in my bug out bag and all the equipment that I've got in there. If I had to, I could beat out of here on foot. What's in the bag, if I just survived off of what's in my bug out bag, I could survive about 2 to 3 weeks. I could go that long. But I wouldn't plan on it. I've got the skills. I can get out there. I'll get food. I can take wild game. I can fish. I can fish, hunt, gather. I'll get by. I may catch a severe cold. I might get pneumonia. Then it's the end of the world. But that's life. That's normal. To me, that's dying of natural causes. Naturally, you're going to die if you don't eat. Hey, B-Lady, can you spare one of those rolls? But I don't consider myself unprepared. I've got enough foodstuffs. If I had to shelter in place because of some kind of disaster or something, I could probably make it a month and a half with what I got in my house without much trouble, comfortably. And I'm just looking at the chat here real quick. If anyone wants a report, the yeah, don't worry about that starting something, Kathleen. You don't have to worry about that starting something. Nobody here should hold anybody to doing something they choose not to do. I would rather hear someone tell someone that's got the needle, you stop going around poking people with that unless they ask for it. I'd rather have them complain about someone that's going around poking people and kind of coercing them into it than hear somebody complain about somebody that makes their own personal choice and says, no, I choose not to do it. I'm a firm believer. It's my body. I'll do what I want with it. Don't you get involved. Yeah. Yeah. But being prepared to me is not as much materially prepared as it is being mentally and emotionally prepared. I would not want someone to have to go through any kind of major disaster, you know, what we would call it's the end of the world kind of event. I wouldn't want somebody to go through that and not be prepared to suffer it. And I think it was B Lady earlier said that she felt that it's probably because for a lot of people, they hadn't been through it. They haven't seen that type or that extreme of something to know how to relate to it. And that's true. That's true. We forget. We forget. That's like I said, bubonic plague in Europe just about wiped us all out. Now it's just part of history, right? We have to go back and take a look and say, oh man, they had it a lot worse than we do today, and we think it's really bad. Just think if I had to be in that situation. Oh Lord, yeah. Um, and that's it. Having our mind in the right place. And I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to die, but I know it has to happen someday, some way. I just want to make sure that I got the best chance I have to get through and still have a bit of a smile on my face, no matter how bad it gets. Because it's your last breath is the only true, it's the end of the world. So keep breathing, keep living, keep loving. Thank you, everybody, for being here for Sty Times today. I thought things were starting back then, and we do that. Well, it's still no they, but see, that's it. It's still relative. It's still relative. We didn't know how to stop it from spreading until we studied it to figured out how. And that's what they did with the bubonic plague too, is they learned what the preventive measures were. They had to go through it to learn it. And that's what we did with COVID was we were going through it and learned, and that's my point is just because something happens, it's not the end of the world, so. Okay, folks, we've got to wrap it up. We got to wrap it up. The hour is up. I hate to leave you guys. I love hanging out with y'all. And hey, what the heck? I mean, it's Monday. I'll see you on Wednesday, 5 p.m. Central Time, right back here at the Sty Shack for Sty Times, right? Hope to see you then. And until then, y'all take very good care of yourselves and y'all have a nice day. Bye-bye.